So, on a Sunday evening, again a lecture. And a lot has been spoken about homeopathy and everything. So let me just tell you a short glimpse about what exactly has happened over the period of years. From the time early 90s, precisely around 1990-91, passed out homeopathy and came, and knowing nothing, started the practice, coming from a medical background. Cases were taken as usual, what we are being taught in colleges, gather symptoms, repertorize the thing, and XYZ the remedy. Patient coming with headache, for example, joint pains, and patient is saying, "Sir, बहुत दर्द होता है अभी भी डॉक्टर साहब। जोड़ों का दर्द कैसा है? वो तो ठीक है ना?" And we would feel better about it, that something is better, if not the headache and if not the total complaints. Or otherwise, patient would say, completely not better. And we would put the blame easily on the patient. अचार खाया रहेगा। मैं बोला था आपको अचार नहीं खाने का, even though you have not advised. Or else change the remedy. Morning pranaya, evening rustox, third day ruta, and so on. And if anything clicks, yes, I have treated. And if nothing clicks, does homeopathy work? And so it was a completely new website that I developed, that was www.totalconfusion.com. Ultimate confusion. Not knowing what to do, not knowing how to treat, and not knowing what is important and what is not. Right? And so with all this, was an RMO at the government hospital in Dirla. So one day I saw there was a huge crowd in one of the OPD. So बोला रे इतना गर्दी है, क्या करते लोग इतना? Because I passed out from Kolhapur and came to Bombay, basically from Bombay, but college was in Kolhapur. So after internship, on merit got government job. देखते हैं जाकर क्या हो रहा है उधर. And sir was sitting right in the center with all the students around, and outside the window also there were students over there. So there was a little curiosity as to what is happening. So started attending over there. And so began the journey about what is actually homeopathy. Otherwise 4.5 years vital force, लाली लिपस्टिक लगा के उसको फर्स्ट क्लास वाइटल फोर्स इज मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल, वाइटल फोर्स इज मोस्ट वंडरफुल. क्या वाइटल फोर्स है मालूम नहीं. 4.5 साल निकल गए क्योंकि सीनियरों ने कहा है पेज छोड़ना नहीं, वाइटल फोर्स को सजा के लिख दो, पास हो जाओगे. राइट, दिस वाज द स्टोरी. दैट्स हाउ वी अंडरस्टूड ऑर्गेनॉन. एंड सो 4.5 years डिड नथिंग. डिग्री तो मिला, गेट के बाहर आया, मालूम पड़ा अरे where am I? I am at the same place. Right? Only I know red tick tongue what it is, map tongue what it is, what is chili remedy, what is hot remedy, उसके आगे मालूम नहीं. एग्जाम के टाइम पे एप्रन के अंदर हाथ रख के ऐसा, क्या पूछा तेरे को, क्या पूछा तेरे को, क्या पूछा तेरे को, क्या पूछा बाहर. एंड लकीली माय रोल नंबर, since surname is from A, the roll number was 1. धड़क गया, धड़क बाहर. इमेजिन जिसका रोल नंबर लास्ट रहेगा उन लोग का तो पूरा दिन भर क्या पूछा पूछते पूछते, अरे यार तुम लोगों को क्या पूछा, मेरे को पूछा ही नहीं वो. And so these were the type of exam that we have given. And with all this, where am I? And what am I doing? What is my role sitting on that chair calling myself as a doctor? Am I really justifying that chair? And father being a doctor, and I've seen from childhood what practice is all about. Allopathy कुछ भी मालूम नहीं, homeopathy कभी कुछ भी मालूम नहीं. तो मालूम है तो क्या मालूम है? Neither diagnosis I know, nor treatment I know. So ultimately the whole complete thing was a chaos. So then I started being with Rajan Sankara sir, understanding the whole concept about what homeopathy is all about. And so the development of this particular science into a beautiful way of understanding that there is something beyond a symptom, something that is beyond mind and body, something that is beyond a story, and unique pattern that runs through every individual. Situations will come, situations will pass by. But what remains unique for an individual is the experience behind the situation. How does that person actually experiences? And with this, the idea about learning the remedies and the way in which one has to learn the remedies completely changed. What is it that makes a particular person behave in the way he or she is behaving is very, very important and unique to understand. This started then emerging. Not simply about whether that person is just telling you a story, not that he loves cold weather or he loves hot weather, but there is something beyond that, that there is a unique pattern of that individual's vital force, the soul, the life principle, which has nothing else but uniquely something completely different. This then started to come up. And this is what we are exactly going to share and understand how this method has actually evolved. And so therefore, I will show you some of the cases where how I failed initially, what exactly happened to me in the line of treatment, in the process of treatment, and few patients who really had trust and faith, they came back again to tell that I am not better. But believe me, when a person comes back to you and tell you that I am not better, it is the faith of that person which is very, very important, and you have to have due respect to that faith. And for that, your hard work of opening the eye and listening and seeing what went wrong is very important. And we have this very bad habit, I have seen this personally, continue the same. Continue. Kuch nahi, power badhao. And we keep on changing the remedy, we keep on changing the power, we keep on simply continuing the same medicine without even understanding that there is something that is not being covered in that individual. Something that the remedy is not indicated. Where we are failed to understand that why is the person not feeling better, there is something that is grossly lost. It is simply a recipe made without salt. It loses its taste, it loses its flavor simply because you have not participated. I call this as you as a homeopath have not participated in understanding that there is something that has not been cleared as far as the need of that simply that specific remedy that is indicated for which the case has failed. Right? Good. So, this was a case taken in the year 2000. A patient presented a picture of depression. On asking the cause, she narrated that she had given some money to one of the close relatives, but then eventually that person refused to return it. In the bargain, he denied that she ever gave him the money. and said that she was lying. This upset her tremendously. She felt completely deceived. She had some white discolored spots on the fingers since past few months. Next. She has noticed change in her appetite and would go on eating something or the other, which was not the case before. Her family physician got a thyroid test done, which reads as follows and was found to be completely within range. So I looked up the rubric: mind, grief, deception, fraud. And the second rubric was discoloration of hands, fingers, spots. And the third one, stomach appetite, increased hunger in general. So what do you think could be the remedy here now? Anybody? Previous slide. See, these were the three rubrics taken: mind, grief, deception, from discoloration of hands, fingers, spots. Any idea? Anybody? And stomach appetite, increased hunger in general. Yes? Bol do. Lycopodium.
Ignatia.
Go ahead. And so see the rubric that was there: mind, grief, deception, from stomach appetite, increased hunger in general, hands, discoloration of hands, discoloration, finger, spots. And you see natrum mur over there, lycopodium, phosphoric acid, ignatia, which you said is still there. But what was given to her was natrum muraticum. As per what we have been taught, the maximum marks and the one which covers the most is the remedy to be given. So I gave her natrum muraticum. I looked up at these rubrics and was able to visualize the leading remedies, out of which I selected natrum mur, which completely relieved her. But then what happened? She was better, but then returned back with a similar complaints after a couple of years. This time the depression was with much more severe intensity. So interviewed her again. And in that process, this entire learning was happening. The levels of experience, the kingdom understanding, the miasms, 10 different miasms, all this was churning up at that point of time. And I still remember those days, everything on the table, कांच के नीचे रखते हुए पेशेंट को देख रहा है, इधर पे देख रहा हूँ टेबल के ऊपर कि क्या 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 चल रहा है करके, कौन सा लेवल बात कर रहा है, कौन सा मायाजम चल रहा है. All this was in a very short period of time that was happening, right? And so trying to apply that. Imagine books came later, but the entire process was happening at that point of time, and this was also practiced in our day-to-day practice, right? And so the case was taken again. This time the depression was with much more severe intensity. So interviewed her again. I don't know where my life is leading towards. I do not have interest in anything. Nothing interests me. I'm not able to concentrate on anything further. I asked as to what was happening. Patient started weeping bitterly at that point of time. She was really depressed. My husband is in relation with some other female that I have got to know, and I have also noticed it once or twice. He was talking on the phone. I tried asking him, but then he got angry and told me that I have got sight. That's what the husband told her. So what was the feeling then? I am terribly hurt with this act of my husband, and as to how he could do such a thing, I could never imagine, even in my wildest of dreams, this would be his behavior. How did it feel? I asked her. I was completely devastated, she said. जीवन सगळं काही विस्कटल्यासारखं वाटत होतं. Everything was completely shattered. Right? What did you do then? What to do, doc? I have 3 children to look after, as to their future. So I just control all my emotions. I don't show it in front of my children. Their studies should not be affected. But at times when I get these thoughts about his behavior, I get severe headaches. Describe this headache. It's bursting sort of headache. As if there is a pressure and it will just burst. Futल्यासारखं वाटतंय. It will just break. Describe burst. छितडे छितडे होईल माझ्या डोक्याचं. Everything will be completely shattered. Everything will be in pieces. So what do you do then? I don't show it to anyone. I just control my emotions. Next. And then with this entire understanding now, that life is shattered. Headache is described as if it is shattered. So now this shattered, breaking into pieces becomes a most important central theme on which her entire story revolves around. This was now very clear. And so therefore, which is that remedy which has got this aspect, which has got the sensation of shattered, broken into pieces, completely devastated. This state has to be seen in the remedy. Are you getting? So this then, when I understood this, it is from the Luganaceae family, where you have got Naxomica, where you have got Gelsemium, where you have got Ignatia, these remedies. These remedies have this particular theme about being shocked and shattered. So it was not about the money. It was not about being deceived. It was not about being anything about financial aspect that she was actually going through. But the idea was that there was a shocked, shattered, devastated, broken into pieces. This was the experience that was through and through, including her headache, including her behavior with the husband. What she used to perceive was this particular aspect about being shocked and shattered. So the Luganaceae had this particular idea. So why did Nattermole fail was my question, even though it covered all the symptoms on repertorization. And on the fifth column you saw Ignatia also standing. Are you getting? The reason that Ignatia was the prescribed remedy because she was sensitive towards that issue, and that sensitivity comes from the plant understanding. The way the plants are sensitive towards the environment, that's the way how she was sensitive. Unlike Nattermole, which comes from the mineral kingdom, these mineral remedies have something to do with complete and incomplete, the loss of electrons in order to be stable. So the idea of mineral remedies was the idea about stability, the idea about lacking and losing, the idea of complete and incomplete, structure. There is some issue with the structure. I am handicapped, for example. So I do not have that support. I do not have that financial support. I do not have that financial security for which I am lacking, for which I am not able to stand on my own, and therefore I need his or her support. This is how the mineral will talk. Whereas for the animal, the whole understanding is the fittest for survival. Who is strong, who is weak? How can I get the better of the other? अगले बार अगर फिर से मेरे सास ने कुछ भी बोला तो मैं इस तरह से डस के मारूंगी उसको कि उसके मुंह से फेस आने तरह उसको मालूम पड़ेगा मेरा नाम माधुर्य बोल देती हूँ. This is the way how the animal will talk. Are you getting this? This is exactly the language of the animal kingdom, where they are having territorial issue, where they are having power issue. Who is strong? Where they are having sexuality, where they are having something called as an aura of attraction. I am more attractive than the other. I am more powerful than the other. This is the idea for the animal kingdom. Then this particular idea now became very clear. Remedies like Apis mellifica, remedies like lachesis for that matter, how snakes talk, how birds talk, how mammals talk, this now could be studied from the materia medica, understanding the animal theme. Like for example, Natrum meraticum or for that matter, you can now understand from the mineral aspect, how minerals talk, the audacity in which they have, the way they are talking, this became clear from the mineral point of view. Whereas if you see, change of weather affects, draft of air affects, damp cellars affect. This is how the plants would understand, because plants have got everything to do with the environment. The change in the environment is the change in the plants, to blossom and to shed away. This is the understanding for the plant kingdom. And therefore, the understanding of these kingdoms now started to become very clear. And what is the understanding? The understanding is, what is it that is the center of that particular individual's issue which matches to that of that person or that remedy. This is where the similarm, the law of similarm now is clear. Now what we understand is, what is the issue with this person? It is not his pathology. It is not the cancer. It is not the diabetes. It is not about hypertension. But something beyond that, that is stressing that person in order to cause this hypertension, in order to cause this diabetes, in order to cause this eczema or psoriasis or whatever it is. How does that person perceives himself to that of his surrounding? Is it that I am sensitive to the surrounding? Is it that I am structurally lacking or losing in the surrounding? Or is it that there is an issue of who is strong and who is weak in terms of the various kingdoms that they come from? Now, kingdom understanding became very clear. After that, how am I going to know? How will I progress with my patient to understand the sensation? That was another issue. So, the levels of experience came into picture. And there were 7 levels of experience, right up from the name level, fact level, feeling level, further down to delusion, further down to sensation, and that of energy. And so these levels of experience gave us an idea, the map, how to enter into the various levels of that individual story, eventually coming to understand what is the pattern of that person, to which kingdom does it match, to which remedy does it match. This was then become very, very clear, and therefore understanding every cases. Eventually, failure rate became lower and lower. The understanding of the cases became much more clearer, much more wider, and therefore the remedies now, with surety, we could understand what am I prescribing and what is the need at that particular point of time, which remedy, what potency. Everything became clear, which otherwise before this development, things were very, very foggy. One wouldn't know, why am I prescribing that? One wouldn't know, am I sure whether this remedy is going to act? Nothing. Morning one remedy, evening other remedy, third remedy, and complete chaos. So this understanding of kingdom, this understanding of levels of experience slowly, gradually became much more clearer, much more perfect, and therefore the success rate of patients' problems were higher and higher. And this was very, very important change. I should say it is a revolution that happened once this concept came into picture. Right? So for a genuine homeopath demands a good knowledge of materia medica and familiarity with repertories. Moreover, there are thousands of remedies in use as on date. Is it possible to remember even a small number of these remedies and its characteristics thoroughly? Repertorial use and familiarity with repertory rubrics has helped us tremendously in practice. But in spite of all this, many a times we fail to see clarity and remedial solution. The reason, in spite of repertorizing, we saw natural mood was coming over there. But in spite of that, patients would feel temporarily better. But then again the same issue. Again retake, reconsider whether that rubric was correct or no. All this was a problem. But along with this repertorial understanding, if you have a system of understanding which remedy, which kingdom, which level of experience, so accordingly which potency if I have to give, if this is also supported, the idea of clearing the case becomes much more stronger, much more clearer, and there is no confusion at the time of prescribing. Right? Next. Limitation of symptom approach. Some cases it works excellent, but results could not be reproduced all the time. No two homeopaths seeing the case could come to the same conclusion. Limited use of materia medica, mainly use of polycrest remedies were done. Because we knew most of the polycrest remedy. What about the smaller remedies? What about other remedies which were not well proven? Those remedies we would never touch. Right? So now what happens with this understanding, with this background, even if it's a small remedy and you are sure about it, you can definitely go ahead and prescribe those remedies also with a better good use. Differentiating remedies would be difficult. Repertory had lot of limitations. When we studied our past cases, we realized that those days we took rubrics without much deeper understanding, and so we failed. So, in nutshell, mere repertorization seldom works. So, an idea from the para 211 of Organon. This holds good to such an extent that the state of disposition of the patient often chiefly determines the selection of homeopathic remedy as being decidedly characteristic symptom, which can least of all remain concealed from an accurately observing physician. And that's what Hahnemann also says. Having said this, in each individual remedy, we could see that all the symptoms and related to each other, these are the symptoms common to the kingdom, subkingdom and source. For every individual remedy, we will see that they are common to certain kingdom, certain subkingdom they belong to. It's almost like the spirit of the source is speaking. At the level of energy, at the level of sensation, you will see some typical words, you will see some typical expressions, you will see some typical gestures, the sound, the movement, all these things of simply that particular substance in nature which is called upon for that individual, which is going to help, and that's the similimum, what we call it as. Next. Beginning of the new era, birth of sensation and system approach through the vision of Shankaran sir. Gist of the approach, it is something in nature expressing itself inside of us, a plant or an animal or a mineral that is speaking through us. And that is where the whole idea about the experience of that individual is one which speaks through that particular source at that particular point of time. Where to hear that directly without passing it through the filter of symptom is the system approach. So what happens when you go from the name level deep down to the experiential level, at the level of sensation and the level of energy, it is exactly the pattern of that plant or that mineral or that animal which is clearly seen, which resembles exactly to that substance in nature from where the remedy has to be prescribed. Further. The three-legged stool, and therefore the development was all about this. The level of experience, the level of experience, kingdom differentiation, and the 10 different miasms. This then became very, very clear of understanding every individual when you're going through this aspect. Right? Next. Journey to the soul, a dialogue beyond human language. Taking an individual to its deeper level of experience is in a way found self-awakening to the patient as well as to the physician, and patient became the sole navigator to his or her destined source, the remedy. The process in a way simplified the life of homeopath. Now we don't have to struggle to find out the remedy. Instead, it presents itself through the language of the vital force. Right? Next. Productivity and groundedness of sensation approach. More clarity, more surety. Things become very clear, things become very sure, and so definite results. Reproducible multiple times. Many homeopaths seeing the same case could come to similar, same conclusion. Vast and open zone of case taking, not limited to set patterns. Multifold use of materia medica and rare and old but unused remedies also started coming into role. Infinite scope of new provings and growth of science to a higher level. system understanding along with use of repertory, materia medica and organon made the concept firm-footed and cure becomes long-lasting. The journey ahead, everything in nature has its scope and limitations. Same it is for sensation approach also. Each and every case doesn't go to deeper levels of experience. In such cases, use of sensation limits itself. Be very clear about this also. In deep pathological cases where vital force is deviated beyond limits, taking it to deeper levels of experience is going to be difficult. But as the student of science, we must be open to all sorts of possibilities and should evolve beyond limitation. So Shankaran sir took the method ahead to make it even more comprehensive in the form of synergistic or an 8-box method understanding. These are not separate branches but an advancement of sensation method itself. Right? So the development of sensation method in nutshell is idea to a concept to system, that is sensation, to evolution ahead, that is synergy and 8-box method. So that is what the whole idea about the development of this method gradually over a period of nearly over a decade, and still further it is going on simply to give more and more accuracy in understanding difficult cases. Thank you.